This is ChatGPT on Bing. Someone wrote on LinkedIn that New Zealand only required 8 gigawatts to 14 gigawatts by 2035 to reach net zero targets. Or it might have been 2050, I can't remember. So the figures they implied is about 10 gigawatts to about, I think, either 14 or 15 gigawatts, which to me looks on the shallow side. Now, I currently have a spreadsheet that I use to calculate things like that, like, heat pumps, average daily usage. So I have cars, buses, trucks, white vans, heat pumps, etc. So I normally get this information off the internet and recalculate it through this so I can work out the costs and other things that I need for my job. So anyway, I put this information in. I forget the first screen it was on. So the first one I searched for was the government's electric statistics, which is the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment. Right. So from there you can get data tables on electric, what's generated, etc. So when you go into this, gives you this it's a really good spreadsheet. So it tells you the consumption, from year, and it goes back from the end of last quarter, 2022, way back. So you can see all the consumption, where it's all gone. So, and other information. Now I can take some of this information and use it, but it doesn't actually tell me what future use there is when people change over to heat pumps or EVs, EV buses. There's a lot to go into this, and I think a lot of governments are missing the plot of what's actually required. So Bing invited me yesterday I think it's about 1 million users to use the new ChatGPT-4. So ChatGPT-4 obviously is the upgrade to ChatGPT-3. So I used it last night. I thought, not very good this, because it doesn't answer questions that ChatGPT was using. Won't let you put a question in that you can use as the basis for your blog or whatever. It just says you can't use that because you might be breaking copyright.
I like to say twat.
Even if it's your own blog or your own company, because in some cases you want information for your own company and the products that you're doing, and it just takes a lot of work out of it. So I didn't quite like that bit, but what I do like is this. So if you put I wanted to find out from the original spreadsheet, right? New Zealand average gigawatts daily usage 2022. So again, with Bing, it gives you all this, which is the Ministry of Business Innovation, which is that, and it gives you other figures in there. But it comes up with the Bing ChatGPT. So I'm going to read it out quickly because it's easy to do it. So, hello, this is Bing. I searched the web for New Zealand average gigawatts daily usage 2022 and found some results. However, I could not find an exact answer to your query. According to the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment, the total electricity demand in New Zealand was 40,000 gigawatts in 2020. I really wanted 2022, but let's work on this. The Stats NZ website says that the electric consumption by sector in 2019 was as follows. Industry, 14,000 gigawatts. Transport, 0.2 gigawatts. Domestic, 11,000 gigawatts. Commercial, 9,000 gigawatts. Agriculture, forestry and fishing, 5,000 gigawatts. So I imagine some of this is to do with what's used in the dams and things like that, maybe. Assuming the electric demand and consumption by sector did not change much in 2022, we can estimate the average daily electricity use in New Zealand by dividing the total annual demand by 365 days, which is what I do on my spreadsheet. This gives us an approximate value of 130 gigawatts per day. So it's giving me an answer that I don't have to put in my spreadsheet now. Okay, based on the information, without me having to trawl through all these websites looking for information. To convert this to gigawatts, we need to divide by 24 hours, which is what, again, I did on my spreadsheet. This gives us an approximate value of 4.6 gigawatts per day. This is only an estimate and may not be accurate. So I worked out in my head was about, on the original search, about 100 gigawatts. So it's given me quite accurate 110 gigawatts. It's probably a bit less since 2020. So 4.6 gigawatt per day, which is a lot. So when they say 8 to 10 or 15 gigawatt of battery backup, it's not enough to do this. 110 gigawatts a day is what their battery storage should be for one day if the sun don't shine, the wind don't blow, and there's no water for the dams. So the next question I posed was this one. How many cars in New Zealand and how many gigawatt of batteries will be required to change over to electric vehicles based on the average mileage in a day? According to the search results, there are more than 4.45 million currently licensed vehicles in New Zealand as of December 2021. The average distance travelled by light passenger vehicles in New Zealand was 11,400 kilometres per year in 2020, which is about 31 kilometres per day, assuming an average electric vehicle efficiency of 0.2 kilowatts per kilometre, which I think is quite low. The total daily energy consumption of an electric vehicle will be about 28.2 gigawatts. I'd actually argue with that. I think your consumption will be a little bit less. Therefore, the total battery capacity required to change over to electric vehicles based on the average mile in a day will be 28.2 gigawatts. So you're getting that it's information here. However, this is a rough estimate and does not account for factors such as charging losses, battery degradation, driving patterns and vehicle types, because of course you've got white van man, trucks and etc. These are included. For comparison, the global battery manufacturing capacity for electric vehicles was around 320 gigawatts per year in 2020. Obviously it's higher now and expected to rise to 9,300 gigawatts by 2030. I actually think we're not making enough battery companies. So anyway, that's moving away from my question. I wanted to know that 28.2 gigawatt a day, because that has to go on the on this, which is how much you're already using. So you'd add another gigawatt a day on top of the original figures, so that's up to 5.6 gigawatt a day. I hope you're understanding me on this. Right, so my last question was this. Right, let's just go back to this. Also, you get more information on this. You can click on, or you can ask it more questions. Right, so you can actually extrapolate more information from it, or chat to it with the Let's Chat function, which is just like ChatGPT-4. So I didn't do that because I wanted to do this as separate issues, right? So my next question was this: how many homes and businesses in New Zealand and how many gigawatts of heat pumps will be required to change over from fossil fuels? Now I know New Zealand's got some thermal heating going on, but again, you know, we're all going heat pumps. Now, heat pumps also need electric, so I didn't extrapolate the information for the electric required to power these heat pumps, but according to what everybody tells me, it's if you put 1 kilowatt in, you get 3 kilowatts out, so you get 3 times out. So whatever the end answer of this is, divided by 3. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Right, so when I asked it, he said, wow, well, that's a complex question. According to the latest statistics, there were 557,680,000 enterprises and 593,590 business locations in New Zealand on February 2020. The number of rental properties was 527,853, of which 440,012, you can understand what I'm doing, were privately owned as of February 2021. This is my dyslexic brain. Assuming that each rental property and business location represents 1 unit of heating demand, the total number of units will be 1 million. So I think it's misinterpreted my question here. Oh no, it's not. So it's homes and businesses. Right, the amount of energy required to change over from fossil fuels to heat pumps depends on many factors such as climate, the size of the installation, the buildings, yeah, we know this, the efficiency and the type of the heat pumps and the carbon intensity of the electric grid. However, some rough estimates can be made on the average energy consumption and emissions of different heat systems. According to the energy statistics from Stats New Zealand, the total energy consumption for space heating and water heating in New Zealand was 42,858 gigawatts hours in 2020. So it keeps going back to 2020. So this is no different than ChatGPT-4, really. So where is the new information? Maybe because I'm on a trial type thing. It's not fully up to date. Of this, 18,561 gigawatts was from electricity, 11,930 gigawatts was from natural gas, 7,383 gigawatts was from coal, 3,412 gigawatts was from wood, and 1,572 gigawatts from other sources. So what's that? Poo? Maybe it's poo. The total emissions from these sources were 9,144 kilotons, which I'm not that interested in emissions. I'm interested in how much you use. So let's skip this bit. Fine. If all the fossil fuels-based heating systems were replaced by heat pumps, the energy consumption emissions would change significantly. Heat pumps are devices that transfer heat from a low temperature source such as air, water or ground to a high temperature sink such as a building using electricity. Right, this is where 1 kilowatt in, 3 kilowatt out, which is what I've been advised. They can achieve a coefficient of performance of more than 3. So that's it, COP. Meaning that you can deliver more than 3 units of heat for every unit of electricity consumed. The COP varies depending on the temperature difference between, I didn't know about COP, I just thought it was 3 in 1 or 1 in 3. Between the source and the sink, the type and the quality of the heat pump and the operating conditions. For simplicity, we can assume an average COP of 3 for all heat pumps in New Zealand. For all heat pumps everywhere, I believe, even in Antarctica. Using this assumption, the energy consumption for heating will reduce to 42,858 gigawatts to 20,561. So so again, that's got to go onto your hourly, daily, yearly figure. So that's not a third, that's like half. Well, of which 18,561 gigawatt will be for the existing electrically based heating system and 2,000 gigawatt will be from the new heat pumps. The emissions will be reduced from, I'm skipping the emissions because I'm not interested in the emissions because obviously we're going to save emissions when we install this stuff. So it will be a significant reduction of 85% in both energy consumption and emissions heating, that is good, isn't it? However, the scenario assumes that the electricity grid can supply an additional demand of 2,000 gigawatts from the heat pumps without increasing its carbon intensity. This may not be the case, as New Zealand's electricity generation is already largely based on renewable sources such as hydro, geothermal and wind, which account for 84% of generation in 2020. New Zealand is actually very good. So when you look at it this way, how they can't up hydro or thermal. I would think hydro you can't because your dams are there and it produces what it produces unless it's a new way of making it more efficient. So it's got to come from the sun and the wind. So the remaining 60% was from natural gas and coal. All right, let's ignore that because we're going to get rid of this. New Zealand's going to get rid of this anyway, supposedly. Therefore, adding more electricity demand from the heat pumps may require more fossil fuel generation, less the grid capacity and flexibility increased by expanding renewable sources. So they have to add more battery capacity, more wind turbines, and more solar, and more transmission lines. So improving the transmission and distribution networks and deploying more energy source and demand responsible technologies. In summary, the answer to your question depends on many assumptions and uncertainties, but a rough estimate based on the available data suggests that 2,000 gigawatts of heat pumps will be required to change over from fossil fuels for heating in New Zealand and reduce the energy consumption and emissions by 85%. provided that the electric grid can accommodate the additional demand without increasing its carbon intensity. This is a simplified analysis and does not account for the costs, benefits and barriers of such as said transition. Obviously there will be a cost benefit for this, so if you put 1 kilowatt in and get 3 kilowatt out, it's really good, which would require more detail and comprehensive study. So again with this, it also gives you the ability to chat and how much does it cost, and so it's really quite clever stuff. This will change how people work. It will change how people do their jobs. So again with this, when you look at the cars, you look at the heat pumps, right? 10 to 15 gigawatt hours of battery is not enough, and neither is the amount of solar that's being planned. So who is planning all this stuff? Now, I was going to do this initially on the UK, but I've already done a spreadsheet for the UK, so there's actually no point. I did all the work manually to come up with a figure. You know, we already know this. But a day's battery for the UK is 900 gigawatts. That's not without adding all the cars that we're going to be adding in the future, all the heat pumps. And we don't have the natural energy that New Zealand has. We don't have it. We've got to rely on solar and wind turbines. That's about it, really. I mean, I could drill down more into this, but it's just ChatGPT is very, very interesting. I think once it's embedded into your search engine, it gives you so many possibilities that it can use, and like I said, it changes how fast you can produce information and also correct people who are talking nonsense.
I'm so happy, I'm happy, happy, happy.